AMI of Jenkins, right? This is the first method. The second method is that you guys can use the Docker, where you have to install the Docker first in your system. After installing Docker in your system means I'm talking about the AWS instance. Inside the instance, first you have to set up the Docker. After setting up the Docker, you have to pull the image of Jenkins, then you can use the Jenkins. This is the second way. You have to spin up the Jenkins container as well. But in that case, I faced few issues related to the plugins because due to some issue, that container was not able to pull the plugins properly. So in the ending, there is a setup or a manual process of setting up the Jenkins directly. That's the same URL that I shared yesterday in the session. Okay, so the URL to set up Jenkins is by DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is a huge organization which also provides you the cloud platforms like AWS, but it's not same as AWS. They also have a public cloud platform, and they call it as a Droplet, I guess. The name is Droplet, but it's not as popular as AWS, and also it doesn't have as much as features like AWS. So when it comes to the DigitalOcean, it's also an organization, and we have some free community or blogs by the DigitalOcean. So you guys can check out their blogs for the learning purpose. Most of the people who are working on the DevOps, they go through the DevOps blogs, right? Even I have a habit of reading blogs, so that if there's a new technology introduced in the markets, that becomes very easy for us to understand the technology or implement the technology. Now, in this blog, that's the same URL that I shared you last day. In this basically blog, you can set, there's a whole process of setting up Jenkins mentioned here. Okay. But still, again, you will face some issue in this setup. I faced that issue and the Jenkins process was not running properly. So to fix that issue, you have to install Java manually. Okay. So you have to type the command like apt-get install Java OpenJDK, something like that, OpenJDK Java 11, and then the Java will be installed. You guys can search over the internet how to install OpenJDK Java 11. After installing Java 11, if you just restart the Jenkins server service, your Jenkins server will be working fine. Now, when Jenkins server goes up, like when it's working fine and it goes up, initially you have to go through few beginner process. After completing that beginner process, you guys will be able to see this UI. Now, this UI comes when you complete the whole setup of Jenkins from the UI as well. Now, I also have one more blog like Jenkins setup on AWS. If you guys just search this Jenkins setup on AWS, this is the official URL by Jenkins. Okay, and it's specifically for the AWS machines. Now, here they are using the AWS AMI. As you can see, they are using the AWS Linux AMI. So in AWS Linux, they are using yum command. We were using apt-get command. That's the only difference. And all the process of the setup is written here, like how to do the setup, how to create the user, installing plugins, blah, blah, blah. And you guys can also go through this URL so that you guys can do the setup of Jenkins as well on AWS Linux AMI. Okay. So I've shared the URL as well. So these were ways to set up the Jenkins, and this is how Jenkins looks after the setup. Okay, so I have created only one user. The name of the user is admin, and you guys won't be able to access this IP because I have just enabled the port 8080 for me. Now, why 8080? Because Jenkins is also a Java-based application. Now, when we talk about Java-based applications are basically functional on the Tomcat web server. So Jenkins in the backend also uses this same server. So there is a common port for the Java applications, which is 8080. And how to find that? If you go to the instance, by the way, today I'm using another tool to access the instance. This is basically MOBA Xterm, similar to that shell that we were using earlier, but this is quite good, or we have multiple features here. So whenever I'm working with multiple instances, I use this MOVA extra. It's good to use with multiple instances. Also, you guys can see the directory structure of the instance directly here. And if I want to copy or paste any file inside this instance, I just have to drag and drop that file here in this area, and that file will be uploaded directly to the instance. In the backend, it's also doing that as such stuff. Okay, using this MOVA extra is good because it's quite interactive, and That's it. So also we have a shell here because we are using a non-interactive Linux server. That's why we have a shell here. Now, so in the Jenkins, as you guys know, like we have done the setup of Jenkins, and for this Jenkins setup, I have used the 4 gigabytes of RAM. Basically, I'm not using the T2.micro. There were a few issues into that as well because I'm going to install plugins, I'm going to perform the build process. That's why this is T2.micro is not enough for that. So what I am using today is basically it's T3.medium. Okay, so it's a higher class instance where we have more RAM, more CPU, so that we can perform our task. Now, so because this is a Jenkins server, okay, as I told you, this is also a Tomcat application, so port number 8080 will be used. So if you guys just do this ps-ef and grab Java from here, I hope you guys know these commands, right? PS is a command to check the process in the Linux systems, and EF is the options of that command so that I can see the process ID and that kind of stuff. I'm grabbing Java word from here, and as you can see, this is the Java word, which is basically running the Jenkins here. So Jenkins is nothing but it's also a Java-based application. And here you can see web root var cache Jenkins var. Now it actually executing the Jenkins var file. Here it is the var file jenkins.var. Okay, so this is how Jenkins works. And when we talk about the port 8080, so you guys can also check that in netstat command. Now, if you guys don't know about the netstat command, it's a command which gives you the output of the network connections of your system, the connections which are currently going on with the system. This is also a helpful command whenever you want to check if somebody suspicious is connected to your system or not. You can also check that with this command as well. Now, netstat -tplun. Now, why TPLUN? T means TCP, U means UDP. First of all, P means port, L means listening, N means numeric. So that I can see all listening and TCP and UDP ports in the numeric form. And here's the output. Okay. So as you guys can see, we have 8080 open for public. Because it's blank here, that means it's open for public, definitely. And it's a Java port. And Jenkins is working on the same port, right? As you can see, 53 is also here. Like it's a DNS. You guys remember route 53, 53 is for DNS, that kind of thing. So it's working. A DNS, internal DNS is also working. So yeah, we have multiple ports in the system, which are currently working for the interconnectivity. Now let's go back and let's talk about the Jenkins server. So we have the Jenkins server set it up here. Here is the Jenkins, and we have only one user, which is admin user. If you want to add more users, you can do that very easily. You just have to click on manage Jenkins, and you have multiple options here to work on multiple areas. Now, our purpose is to use to Jenkins for the CI/CD. First of all, let me check how many people have joined. Okay, Adarsh is still not in the session. No issues. All right. So we were talking about the Jenkins. So we have multiple options here. You guys can go through the every option. Everything is very useful in the Jenkins. It's an open source tool. So we have the documentation as well. So you guys can go through the documentation as well. Now, the important part here is that we are going to perform some tasks in this Jenkins. And today we are only going to perform the CI task because for CD, like continuous delivery or deployment, we should have a separate server. Or we can also do that CD at certain point, but will not be able to deploy that particular completely because I got an application which is a Java-based application, but like it's not my application. I forked this application from a server or from a particular GitHub repository. So this is my GitHub repository, and I am able to like I have you can say I have cloned that a particular application on my GitHub repository. Now I can use that. Okay. So this application is a Java-based application that we are going to build and deploy. Not completely deploy, but yeah, we are going to place the war file on another server. We can do that. So let's break down the processes. First of all, we will go through the process of freestyle job. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of freestyle job? So freestyle job is a job where you write the whole code at once. Okay. So whole code will be written in one block. Code means that code can be a Jenkins code. Okay. Jenkins code means Jenkins uses a programming language, like if you know that, Groovy, Groovy or Groovy, whatever it is, Groovy language. Okay. Now Groovy is also a programming language. I guess it's double V E, not Y. Yeah, GROOV. No, I'm missing the spelling.
It's Y, G
Yeah,
R
yeah,
O
yeah. It's
V Y H.
grocery. Oh no, GROOVY. V is not two times. It's GROOVY. So here we have the Groovy. It's a kind of pipeline programming language, you can say. It's a programming language which is actually based on Java again. Jenkins is a Java application. So the programming that will work in Jenkins should also be a Java-based programming language. So you can say the core of Groovy is written in Java. This is the, again, documentation. You guys can go through the concept of Groovy. Like here we have the inputs and the outputs and the concept of Groovy. And if you click on pipeline, you will see the more stuff related to the pipeline. Also, few open videos are here. All right. So this is a very complex pipeline. You guys won't be able to understand directly from this pipeline. And this is how a Jenkins pipeline code looks like. A pipeline code, not a freestyle job code. Okay. This is how a Jenkins pipeline code looks like. Now, it seems difficult, but it's not that difficult. It's very easy. I will let you know how to write that. And again, this is a scripted pipeline. This is how Groovy looks like. Most of the times we write Groovy in this way. Okay. And this is the declarative one that we are going to use. All right. Let's go back there. Let's fix the spelling. GROOVY. I was correct in the beginning. Okay. So, freestyle jobs. So, if you want to create any freestyle job, it's very easy to do that. You just have to click on new item. After clicking on new item, you have multiple options here. Now, you can add more options here. For that, you have to install the plugins. Now, I have installed the plugin of Pipeline. It's a default plugin whenever you're going to do the setup of Jenkins. If you just like the option of like go ahead with the default plugin or something like that, the first option from two options, like let me show you the option. Just after this page, after entering the password, you're going to get the option of plugins. Here you can see it's a plugin option. Okay. So just before this page, you get the choice. You want to do that manually or you want to go with the recommended plugins. So go with the recommended one. You will get the pipeline by default over there. Okay. And if there is any plugin which is required, you can install that later as well. Now here we have the freestyle project option, right? Which is also known as freestyle job, just like this one. And you have to give the name of the job. So let's give the name as my first job. Okay. And I will write OK here. Click OK here. Now, automatically the configuration of job will comes up. This is the job configuration where you can select all the things and you can create your own automation. Again, it's an automation that we are going to do. Now, for the freestyle, in most of the cases, there is no need to write the code. Only basic shell scripting is required at the certain point. Okay. So first of all, we have the description. You can write any description. So anything depends on your type of job. So we can type here my first job for testing CI and CD, whatever you want to write. Now here you have multiple checkbox to discard old builds, GitHub project. This project is parameterized, throttle builds, execute concurrent builds if necessary. Okay, so there are multiple options. The options that you are going to use most of the times is this one. This project is parameters, and also you can choose any option as per the requirement. Now, what is the meaning of parameter? I will tell you later. First of all, let's make this a very simple project. I'm not going to write anything else, just going below. And here in the build step, I'm clicking here on execute shell. Now, execute shell means it's a shell script that we are going to execute. Hash exclamation mark slash bin slash bash. Let's define the shell and we can write the code. You guys remember that we did with the user data script, right? We write the shell script code. Also, we can write that code here as well, whatever you want to do. Now, for example, now this code is going to be executed on Jenkins server, right? Because we don't have any other server right now. So, for example, if I want to do something like I want to perform a command, run a command, ifconfig. I want to see the IP address and that stuff. Okay. Also, I want to create a directory called test. That's it. Just save the code and boom, you created your first project or first job. Now, again, this is not a CI/CD job. It's just a job that will be going to perform those tasks that we have written inside the what you will say build step. Okay. Now here we have the option of build now. If you just click on build now, the job will be start executing. As you can see, job is executed. You will see the build number here. If you just click on this tick mark, which is console output, here you have the console output that shows the result. Okay, like what happened in the backend when you executed that particular uh, job. Uh, okay, so initially bin bash was the shell, executed a shell script that is written over there. After that, it gives the output of the if config as expected. And after that, we didn't got any output. Reason? Because we use the mkdir command, and mkdir command doesn't gives any output. So according to this job, there should be a folder with the name test created over there. Now, where is our folder? Where it is created? So whenever you are working with Jenkins, or whenever you are creating a job in Jenkins, like for example, let me define something. Okay, so this is a Jenkins server. Okay, this is your server. Now in this server, we are going to create multiple jobs, right? So in the backend, the server is going to manage that jobs or pipeline separately. The workspace will be defined separately so that it could not disturb any other job. Okay, for this basic isolation or isolation of files, we have a separate workspace. So the location of the workspace is cd var lib jenkins and workspace. Hit enter, ls. You will see all your jobs here. Now as you can see, we got the our job, right? My first job. If you just go here, cd my first job, this is the job directory that is automatically created when we created job. ls, as you can see, there is a folder with the name of test. Now this folder is created because we use the command mkdir in the job, right? You guys got the concept? Everything is clear till this point? Hello, Anurag, Vinay, Rajeshri.
Yes,
Uh,
Manish.
yes.
Yes, Anurag. Do you want to ask anything?
Not ask. I'm just. It's a little tricky for me. That's it.
Like, how it's tricky? Like, tell me.
I don't know. I think I'm just getting a little overwhelmed. So I watched the yesterday's recording. So now I'm feeling better about the CI/CD concept. So same thing for today. I will watch this video again
Okay.
to understand it better. Yeah.
All right. So Jenkins is nothing but, again, it's a tool which provides us the environment or the automation stuff. Okay. So in every application, when we talk about the application, in every application, there are two components. You guys are feeling a little bit confused in this area because I don't think so, like you guys have that much idea on the points of application. Okay. So when it comes to the application, we have one front end. You guys know about this, right? Front end and the back, right?
Yes.
Now, what is the front end here? The UI that you are accessing from the URL. URL colon 8080. The URL is basically nothing but it's the IP address that we are using, right? That's the front end. Backend is basically a var file, or you can say it's just a var file, okay, jenkins.var or something like that. Now, this var is executed. That's the why you are able to see this application through the front end, right? Through the browser. Now, because it's a tool, it have some directory structure in the backend. So this is the directory structure which is working in the backend. This is the location. You can say this is the home directory of Jenkins. Varlib Jenkins is the path where the work of Jenkins will be done. Any file created by Jenkins will stay in this directory. Varlib Jenkins. This is the default path. You can change it according to your use, but most of the times you will be using the default path. In this path, we have workspace folder where all the jobs will be present. If I'm going to create more jobs, and every job will be present under this. Every directory of the job will come under this workspace, right? So that's why we have a specific workspace where we have the directory structure of the jobs and the pipelines. Okay. And when it comes to the freestyle job is nothing but you just write the code at once. Okay. There is no multi-staging concept. So there is only difference between freestyle job and pipeline. Okay. In pipelines, you have stages. Okay. In pipelines, and there is no stage and freestyle job. You write whole code at once. In pipeline, you divide the code in multiple stages. That's the only difference you can say. And yes, in pipeline, we have multiple flexibilities, we have multiple benefits. It's easy to use, it's easy to manage. That's why most of the people are currently working on the pipeline concept. And it's the most important one as well. Now, so we created this job. Now this job was not related to the any CIE concept. So let's make it meaningful and let's do some CIE work here. Okay. So and as well as like you guys remember, I told you like we have the parameter concept here. So parameter is nothing but it will take inputs from the user in the beginning. Okay. So for example, let me choose a parameter here. So we have multiple parameters. Let's like the parameter as string, and I'm taking parameter as branch name. Let me use the underscore here. Also, be careful while giving the names to the parameters. You cannot use the spaces and that kind of thing here because these parameters are nothing but they are going to be used as the variable, and we have specific rules to define the variables, right? You have to follow the rules of identifiers to define any variable. Here you guys can give the default value if you want to give, or if you don't want to give that, you can keep it empty as well. Here you guys can define the description. Also, you have multiple options, like you can create multiple parameters as well. Okay, we also have choice parameters that will create the drop down list. If you want to create a drop down list, you guys can also do that. So again, it's just up to your requirement. We can use whatever we want, right? It's just up to us. We have multiple types of parameters. Right now I'm using the string parameter, which is going to take a single string inside this variable, and I can use the same variable later in this job. Now after this, here we have the option of source code management. Now you guys remember source code management, SCM means git. We are talking about git here. Let's select the git. Now this is here, it is asking for the git repository URL. So you remember this is the git repository. Now from where we can get the URL? Here, just click here. Sorry, code. This is the URL. Okay, this is not the git repository URL. Never use this one. Always go for this. Okay, just click on this copy button and it will be copied automatically, and paste this URL here. Okay, now why I am using this git repository? First of all, this is GitHub, which is a public repository structure, public repository, you can say system where you can keep your repository publicly, okay, or privately as well. But it's a GitHub is a platform where you can keep your remote repository. Sorry, the remote word should be here, remote repository system. Okay, now this code is currently present in my account and it's a public repo, I guess. Let me check. Yeah, it's the public one. Let me check the settings as well so that it can define. Can we check that it's a public repo or private repo? There is nothing related to private, and seems like it's a public repo, right? Because I'm able to access that and I forked it from any other account. So yeah, it's a public one. No issues in that. By default, it becomes public. Now here credentials. Now credentials are required whenever you are going to use the private repositories. Why private repositories? Because what happens, like for example, I'm working for an organization and that organization has their code on a remote repository. Now code means their code which is working on production, and that code can be a, like you can say, private stuff, right? It's not necessary that every time organizations are working on open source contributions, that can be the private code, right? So the code should be only accessible by the people of organization. That's why they use the private repositories and they provide access to the users on that specific private repositories. Now if you have the access on a private repository and you want to use that repository in any freestyle job or any pipeline, in that case you have to use this credentials options from here. Now you guys can add the credentials. Credential, what it means the password, first of all, username and password, as well as you guys can add the SSH public keys here as well. Now, why SSH public key? Because as you guys know, for example, I'm using any repository, a remote repository. For example, I'm working for any organization, XYZ organization. Now, that organization has lots of, okay, so it says failed to connect to the repository, command git ls remote. Okay, okay. So it seems like that repository is the private one, right? That's why I'm getting this error. So there are two options that we can do here. Option number one is that I have to provide the credentials here. And second one is that I have to make this repository public. Okay, we will see that. So first of all, when it comes to the Git, if I'm working for the organization like XYZ organization, and they have given me the access on their code so that I can work on that code or I can use that code for the CI/CD process, I cannot access that code directly. I have to use my credentials like username and password so that I can access that code. Now, when it comes to the systems, what you do, you use the terminal or the shell to clone the code or to work on that code. Now, you cannot use the username and password every time while working on the code. So, in that case, they give you the facility of SSH keys. Now, they take your public SSH key and place that on the repository. After that, any system can clone the code directly. So, this is the major benefit of using the SSH keys. Okay, you guys got it? It's just like, for example, if you guys don't know about the SSH is again a huge concept. There's a server A and server B. Currently, what we are doing, we are using private key to taking SSH, right? We are using private key to take SSH from one server to another server. Similarly, you can paste your public key to any server and you can directly take SSH into that server. There is no requirement of the providing passwords over there. Just copy your key, your public key, to the another server's authorized host list and authorized key list, and you will be directly able to do SSH without password. Okay. Also, you may have to enable the, uh, I guess, password-based authentication. There is some kind of authentication that should be enabled in SSD underscore config file. If you guys don't know about that, go check the SSH concept over the internet. Okay. Now, right now, as you guys can see, we are facing some issue which says that it's not able to connect to the repository. This is the major benefit of using Jenkins. Even without saving the job or executing the job, it says that it's not able to communicate with the repository because the repository is maybe public or not accessible completely. So we have to fix this issue. Otherwise, we won't be able to access the repository. So what we can do here is we can directly go to the repository provider, right? And let's copy their URL because now this is the organization. I want to go to the repository directly. So this is the repository and let's copy the code from here because now this should be the public one. And if this is not also the public one, that means I don't have access. Like they haven't made it public, but they have given me the access so that I can access their repositories. Okay, let me check here. Okay, as you guys can see, the error is gone. That means the repository was public. If it was not public, then we have to add the credentials here. So there is a special credential manager. If you click here, you can add credentials here. There's a credential manager. You guys can check the credential manager in the part of manage Jenkins. You guys can see where manage credentials. Okay, configure credentials. Here you have to set up the credentials like SSH, user access, anything. You guys can do that here. Okay, right now we have the system credentials available. Let's go back here. All right. Now here we need to specify the branch, like from which branch you want to perform the merge. Okay. So what we are doing here is we are using this one, right? This branch name. Let's copy this branch name and paste it here. Now we can't paste it directly. We have to use the dollar here because we are using the variable, right? So we will use the dollar here and use double quotes as well. Sometimes it is required, sometimes it doesn't require. So it's good to provide the double quote as well. Okay. So dollar is here because we want to put the value of this branch underscore name. It's a variable that is created here, right? So just for that. Also, we can remove it from here as well. Let's see, it should work by the way. And after this, we want to perform some build process, right? Trigger builds remotely. Now we want to perform the build process. So here we have the option that we can do. Now, if you go here in this application, they have provided the steps to build the application. The maven clean package command should be there to build the application. Okay. Now, maven clean package will only work if maven is installed in your system. Otherwise, it won't work because it's going to fire the command in the Jenkins system. And maven clean package is a command that actually compiles the code, or you can say build the artifact. Now, this is the maven test command which is used for unit test. You guys remember unit test concept? It's separate from, it's divided into two commands. First CI, then CI. In CI part, we also perform the unit test, right? That's why this is for unit test. And maven deploy to deploy the artifact. This is how it works. Deploy is not required, by the way, because we are just going to paste the artifact to the server, then we are going to restart the Tomcat. We have multiple ways to do that. Right now, these two commands are important because we are only going to perform these commands. Okay. So let's check that. Do we have Maven here? Now this will not work. I have to use the small case command. And as you can see, Maven is not present here. So it gives us a suggestion that we can install the Maven from here. Let's click, like type, we can just type here apt install maven and use -y so that it can be installed very quickly. Now again, if you just check the application has few dependencies, means these dependencies should be resolved if you want to use the application. Docker is not required. MySQL should be there. It's a client application basically. MySQL should be there. Java 8, we are using Java 11, right? So maybe, but we will be able to do the build process more, I guess, because there's no that much difference in Java 7, Java 8, and Java 11. Most of the times code works fine. Okay, yeah, but in build process they show some errors as well. So if we face any error in build process, so don't get like worried about that because we are using somebody else code. I haven't written any code, that's why. Okay, and also I'm using a different Java version. I'm just showing you guys the process of working with CI/CD. If you just check the version, I'm using Java 11 here, right? So that can be the issue. If that person is using any specific component which is not compatible with Java 11, then we will face the issue. And if he is using the components which are flexible with Java 11 as well, then we may not face the issue. And also, we can check for the branches as well if we have Java 11 branch here. As you can see, JUnit options are also available here, right? This person has created lots of branches here. So let's not don't get confused. We are going to use the master one directly. Okay. So Maven is installed now. If I just hit the command Maven, as you can see, we will got the error, some warnings and that kind of stuff. That means the Maven is available now, right? We got some errors. That means Maven is installed. You guys can also do this Maven ambient hyphen version. This is the short name or the command of Maven. And yes, we have Maven 3.6.3. And as per the requirement, the Maven should be 3.x, means x means anything. Let's get back to the Jenkins. Now, again, we have two methods. Number one method is that you can directly use the Maven command here in the shell execution, right? That we are going to do right now. So the command that we have to do uses this command, right? Slash bin bash. Okay, let's paste the command here. That's it. Save the job and let's run the job. Build with parameter. First of all, let's give the branch name. So this is what is parameter, right? This is how you can give the parameters. Branch name. Master, dude, go with the master. Let's click on the logs and let's see how it works. We got the failure. Why? Because maybe it was not working with the dollar master or something like that. Let me check what happened here. So, first of all, we got here fetching upstream changes, git version, blah blah blah, and check out from here. Okay, let me check from where it was able to check the get the branch or not. First job, this. It was able to get the branch back then. That's why we got this. The code is cloned, right? The cloning is done perfectly. There is no issue in cloning the project, okay? The issue was with the build process, right? And it says run Maven using the X switch to enable full debugging mode. First of all, we have to use this. So again, same thing as I told you, we are using Java 11. They were working on Java 8. That's the issue. So let's try to resolve this as well. Now, open JDK. Here it is. I'm going to install the Java 8 as well. Now you guys must be wondering if I install the Java 8 that can create the issue. Basically, yes, that can create the issue. Installing Java 8 can create the issue. The reason is that because we are using what we are using? We are using Jenkins. And Jenkins is also working on Java 11. So the whole Jenkins will be disturbed if we use the Java 8 here. So, any suggestions what we can do here? Anyone? Any idea? Any approach that can help us to fix this issue? Guys, are you there?
I'm here, but I don't know.
You are here, but you don't know. Rajeshri, I'm expecting answer from your side.
I think we need to install Java like daemon.
What Java daemon? Look, we have one system, right? In one system, globally, we have one Java, Java 11. Jenkins is also working on Java 11. If I install the Java 8, Jenkins will shut down, right?
Yes,
Because it's
yes.
also working on Java. And if Jenkins is shut down, how will I will do the CI process, man? Java is the important, and Java 11 is important because Jenkins is dependent on that. So, guys, here comes the scenario of Docker. Okay, so what we can do is we can use a Docker file basically, or we can use the concept of Docker, which will help us to build our code. So let's quickly write one Docker file. So what I'm doing here is in just out of the workspace, okay, I'm creating a directory called Docker file. If you guys don't know about the Docker file, don't worry about that. We will go through the process of Docker files later. Vim uh, Java 8. That's it. Let me type Java 8 here. Okay. So first of all, I need to mention here from where I'm going to launch the container. So I need to find the container where I have the Java 8. So Docker Hub is the place where you can get the images for free. And we have to search here Java, not the Java specifically, OpenJDK. You guys know about the JDK, right? Java Development Kit or not?
Yes.
Okay, now in the JDK, as you can see, OpenJDK, this is the Docker official image. Always check for the tags, right? Click here for the tags. Now we have multiple versions here. OpenJDK 20, like this. Oldest. Let's go for the oldest. We need the older version. Oh, the older is not that older. Newest. Let's type Java 8. Or let's type 8 here. Maybe we get the Java 8 container at somewhere. No? OpenJDK or Java 8. Let's type Java 8. 1.8. Yeah, it's 1.8 actually. Why 1.8? Because like Java 1.8 and 8 are both the same things. Like OpenJDK 1.8, the version is OpenJDK 1.8, and that actually contains the Java 8. So it's a package you can say that actually contains Java 8. Now, as you guys can see, there is no such official image available for JDK OpenJDK 1.8. Let's check one more time. So again, it gives the example of OpenJDK. If you go here, Docker pull OpenJDK, if I want a specific version like 1.8, any idea of that 1.8? Maybe not because it's very old version, right? And also the Java 1.8 has lots of vulnerabilities, lots of vulnerabilities. So seems like we don't have Java 1.8 in our image. Okay, Java 7 got it. Okay, OpenJDK 8 got it here. Let's see if we have the version of, as you can see, 6 years ago. Very old image, right? Just need to open that image and check the Java version. Yeah, as you can see, it has the Java 1.8 image, right? You guys can check it from here. Now, to use this image, we have to provide the whole name. And again, it's an Alpine image. Now, Alpine are the you can say, lightest images. These images don't have Maven, I guess. I need at least need the image which has the Maven. Can't go with the Alpine image. Alpine is too light. Seems like only Alpine images are here. Ah, that's the issue. All right. So if we have the Alpine image here, then we have to install the Maven again in this image, right? All right, let me try this image. You guys will get the idea of Docker as well. So from this image and APK install. So basically in Alpine, APT doesn't works, yum doesn't works. Alpine works with APK. Okay, so remember that you have to use the run APK install Maven. Okay, just after that, so copy. What I need to copy is dot.
Here we don't need to mention hyphen y.
Yeah, I don't think so. Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't worked with that much with the Alpine, but maybe, yeah, it will show the pop-up definitely. We have to mention that. Now, one more thing, we have to add the repository, right? Copy dot and dot slash. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm copying the whole directory exactly in the same location. Now, Maven or MVN green package, the command that we saw there for the build process. We are going to fire this command directly here. I have to use the run command, not like this. All right. So when the package is built, what we have to do is, again, we have to do the copy, or not the copy directly. The build will be done. Then we have to use the docker cp command, or what we can do. Yeah, we have to use the cp command. Okay, we will see that later. Let's save this for a second and let's try this right now. Okay, so docker build, no, okay, no, it will not work basically. First of all, we have to copy this docker image to the place where we have the code. Okay, java 8 and cd dot dot, no, sorry, cd cp, sorry, my mistake. Java 8 dot slash workspace. Inside the workspace we have only one directory. Let's copy it there. Now let's go to that particular directory where we have the code. But what I'm doing here is I'm first testing this manually because we have the code here, like pom.xml, that code is here, and we have this image. Okay, so docker build hyphen t dot, not dot, java 8, or what we can do is we can just change the name of this file, java 8 to docker file. Okay, so docker build hyphen t test and dot. Let's run this build. So here the build is working, and as you can see, apk install maven, and we got some error. As you can see, it says no option hyphen y. So that means there is no need to provide the hyphen y, right? apk unrecognized option hyphen y. You got it, Rajeshwari? So hyphen y is not there. So what we have to do is we again have to open this and remove this hyphen y. So there was some issue in this hyphen y. Let's run this build again. install maven return 0. APK has coffee making abilities. Okay, it's basically APK command. APK install is not there. Okay, even I am using the wrong command. Sorry. APK add should be there. Now it says unsatisfiable constants missing. Okay, so that means maven has few arguments as well. So what we are going to do here is we are going to put the wildcard. Anything related to maven should be installed. No, so something with the maven. Let me try the maven directly. Maybe this image has the maven pre-installed. Okay, let's test that as well. Let's see if we have the maven pre-installed here. No, maven is not there. So what we can do is like we tried multiple things here, right? We are using Docker image. We have tried multiple things, but again and again we are failing in this because we got the multiple errors. So let's launch the container and get into that container and let's see what's the issue. Okay, so if you just run this Docker images, you will see the images here. Okay, and here you guys can see this is the OpenJDK image that we are using multiple times to perform our task, but we are failing into that task. Okay, so let's copy this image. Okay, so the image is copied. Now docker run -it d and let's paste the image name, as well as you guys can give the hyphen name as my container or my counter. Let's run this container.
D for what purpose?
Detach mode basically.
Oh,
It.
details. Okay.
Yes.
Like it will run in the background.
Exactly, but it seems like there's something that I'm missing here. Run should be here. -it I guess is specifically for that particular interactive mode, right? Let's launch this directly. Okay, so it's working. No, not this one. We have to use the OpenJDK image local one, right? So what was happening here is it was going to the Docker Hub and getting the image from the Docker Hub. Okay, but we want to use this one. So we have to mention it like Docker run hyphen name OpenJDK colon. Then we have to give this version as well. This is basically a tag that we have to provide here so that we can launch the container. And it says something is missing. What an error response from daemon, no command specified. No command was specified. Why? Or what we can do is we can directly use this whole image name. Let's run this directly. Again, it's not working directly. Seems like some issue. Run OpenJDK. Let's directly run this. Unable to find the image locally. Now, as you can see, it's again not picking up the local image. It's directly going to that. Bit difficult. Let's try with something related to Maven. Okay. So what we can do is install Maven and Alpine. So we'll get the specific package version for Alpine that we can use directly over there. JDK8 Alpine Linux. As you guys can see, someone was also facing the similar kind of issue. So these are the commands, okay, we have to follow over there. Let's run this again. Try this for one more time. APK update semicolon APK add maven. Now this should work. Docker build -t test and dot. Again, it says unsatisfiable constraints, Mevin missing, required by word Mevin. There's still something which is missing here. So the person says he tried the same thing. I tried many different ideas. That means this was not the solution. Actually, Alpine is a very low end image. So that's why we are facing this issue. Or let's go with the something called, let me try something else. Ubuntu. Okay. So Ubuntu has the capabilities where we can go with the stuff apt not requirement of apt update. Then after providing apt update hyphen y, we can just type here apt install openjdk 8. The person was also using the openjdk 8. This is the version, that particular thing, and hyphen y. Just after that, we will provide one more command is apt install maven. So here what I'm doing is I'm not using any Alpine image or the older image. I'm directly using the Ubuntu image. Now Ubuntu is far better than as compared to any other thing. As you can see, the apt update is working right now. Let's see if it works. So yeah, Docker is bit tricky stuff here. By the way, till it's getting downloaded or installed, you guys can see the CI process worked. By the way, we got the repository cloned. There was only issue with this build process. Why? Because our system was using Java 11 and the code was written in Java 8. Okay. So till this, it is the download process is going on here. Let's go with the pipeline first. So we don't have that much time. So to create the pipeline, you guys can click on new item, okay, and select the pipeline from here. After selecting the pipeline, you guys can just type here my first pipeline, okay, and again it will create a separate workspace for the pipeline and that kind of thing. Click OK here. Just after clicking OK, the same thing is available here. And here you have to type the pipeline script. There are two ways to do that. You can use the pipeline scripting, and also you can like from SCM. You guys can select the SCM. That means you have to keep your pipeline script on any GitHub repository, and you can directly select that repository here as well. So it's just up to you. So this pipeline script can also be known as the Jenkins file. Okay, it's not only a pipeline script, it can be also understood as the Jenkins file. So this is the structure of a pipeline script where you have multiple stages. And there is a benefit of using this pipeline script. Let me show you. So let's go to the Jenkins here. Not the Jenkins. Here it is. And let's paste this pipeline script here. As you guys can see, this is the pipeline script here. The first process is build, where you can write the code for the build. You guys can just type here like echo build code, right? I'm just typing the commands. These commands are basically echo commands, so that will just give the output test code and the deploy code.
So it will be like automatic pipeline means build will be once. I didn't get actually.
It
What
will
is
be
the
executed one by one. Like first of all, it
yes?
will execute the build stage. After that, it will
Yeah.
execute the test stage, and after that, it will execute the deploy stage. Now, the major benefit of using this pipeline is that your steps are divided into multiple stages, first of all. Okay. In every stage, you have multiple steps as well. You can do multiple things in every stage as well. Also, if one stage is failed, the second stage will also be failed by default, but you can
Yes.
add
Yes.
some conditions here as well. What if you want, like for example, if the build stage is failed, directly go with the another stage. You can do that. There are multiple conditional parameters that you can do. That you have to go through the pipeline concept. You have to learn Groovy for that. where you will see the concept of like how we can implement the conditional statements like if else. You guys know about if else, right? It's just like if else. If the one stage is false, what we can do for the next one. Okay.
Got.
So
Yep.
this is how the pipeline looks like, and I have entered few echo commands here. Let's save the pipeline. Let me show you the output. So if I just build this pipeline, so it gives me some error. Maybe I missed something. Echo deploy. Yes, I guess I missed something. Let me check here. What is missing from these? The error was in echo deploy and echo build. Uh, okay, so let me just use the double quotes here. Sometimes some codes are not understandable. Maybe I have used something else over there. This is closed properly. This is closed properly. Now, also you have to take care of the parameters that you are opening and closing. And in this, I am using the space here as well. So if I'm using the space, I have to use the single quotes inside the double quotes. Okay, so this is basically the shell scripting where you have to do this. Now again, here it's a process, so we have to mention sh here. Okay, let's test this. Now as you can see, we are getting some visual output and it's success now. Okay, so this is how a pipeline looks like, divided into three stages. Okay, we have, you can check the separate output for every stage. Build code worked fine, test code logs worked fine, and deploy code. This is how a pipeline looks like. Now you guys can get the idea, like this is the major difference between a pipeline and a freestyle job. You guys got it? In the job, you don't have that visualization or the separation between the task, and in the pipeline, you have the separation between the tasks. Now, the only thing is that we have to put the code of build here, we have to put the code of test here, and we have to put the code of deploy here. That means all these three commands will be divided into three subsections. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. And again, the build process will be done on same system, the test will be done on same system, the deployment will be done on another system. That means we will copy artifact from here to there and we will do the deployment. Okay, let's check that if it's work, if it worked fine. Returned a non-zero code one. Okay, so I guess I forget to put y at some point, and that was this particular. So basically it's also working fine now. The Docker file is also working fine now. Okay, so I will share you this Docker file as well, and we will use this Docker file later as well. We will be starting Docker from tomorrow. So in the Docker concept, we will cover this build and deploy process, and we will implement the same code in these things. Okay, so we will continue from exactly from here because we have to implement the Docker with these stuff. Okay, but before that, we will go through the concept of Docker and the theory of Docker because that's also important. But it's working, right? We are able to install the packages in this image because the image is the image that we are using right now is the Ubuntu image. In Ubuntu, we have the control, whole control. But when it comes to the Alpine image, that's a whole light image where we don't get that much. You can say in Alpine, we don't have that much packages installed. It's a very lightweight image. It comes in like 4 or 5 megabytes. And Ubuntu image will go around like more than 200 megabytes. So that's the major difference. Okay, you guys got it?
Yes.
So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask. Then we will be continuing from exactly here, from the part of Docker to the CI/CD. because CI/CD is nothing but, first of all, we got the understanding of Jenkins. You guys can go through the Jenkins, create some sample jobs like this, try out the stuff. Then we will be implementing the Docker inside this. We will be implementing Ansible. Even we can use the Ansible for the deployment. We will be implementing that as well, because Jenkins will go till end now. It's not ended here. It will go till the end of sessions. Okay. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask. And okay, so Vinay just left the class, right? Did he drop any message? No. All right. All right, guys. Then that's all for today. I will be sharing the video on the drive. Okay. Then you guys can check out the video and set up your Jenkins and start work on it. All right. That's all for today.
Thank you, Manish.